Right. Okay. So, how are we doing, Ross?
Lucy, how you doing? You good?
Really good, thank you. Really, really good. Very excited because this is the first episode of the Outspoken podcast, and I'm super, super honoured to have you with me today. And would you just kind of set the scene for people who perhaps don't follow you already, and just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and who you are and why you're here?
You will do. So first, I'm very honoured to be here, especially on the first one. I'm very excited because this is, a little bit removed from what I do day to day. So I've basically been a sports S&C for 20 odd years, 22 years in cricket, working for different counties in the UK. But alongside that, I've always been massively interested in health, in fitness and all different things, and understanding how the body works. Because my big thing with cricket really was trying to help people get over injuries. And when you dive down that rabbit hole, you understand that it's more than a little bit of ice and rest and compression. So you go down the route of, right, how does the body work? What does the body need?
Yeah.
And once you sort of start to understand that, then you dive into, right, nutrition and health and hot tubs, saunas, cold baths, all the different sort of red light therapy, right, will this help my player? Yes or no? And then you start to realize, well, actually, no, this is going to help people as well. It's not just cricketers or sportsmen. It's we know from our jobs, people are unhealthy.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, I guess my whole thing now is moving into try and make people feel better as much as anything.
Yeah, which is a big reason why I'm here and I've created this podcast channel, and why we're here together today is because, I think that as professional coaches, we have a responsibility to tell people the truth. And I personally am sick to death of hearing bullshit from apparent coaches.
Yeah.
And I think, like, today we've got a really fantastic opportunity to let loose. Yeah, let's let loose on some of these issues that keep coming up, and some of the myths that keep being spilled out there. So I think we should start off talking about weight loss and the difference between weight loss and fat loss. Okay.
Yeah, let's dive into this bad boy.
Let's dive into this bad boy. Now, what are your thoughts on this kind of, weight loss versus fat loss? Because we see there's like a big culture these days, isn't there? You've got all of these weight loss clubs and groups and worlds, no names. And it's all very much centered around quantity of food. And it's all very much centered around calorie counting. And, people are told, get out there, do 10,000 steps. And, there's very little around the education when it comes to quality. Now, why does that matter? Like, what are your thoughts on this whole weight loss?
Yeah, it's such a big topic, and you're so right. Like, what we're seeing at the moment is a lot of people coming into this industry, and they're basically sort of a one-trick pony, where they say, right, you need to do 10,000 steps and be in a calorie deficit, and that's it. That's all you need to do. And it's, wow, okay, is that it? Is it serious? This is all you're telling people? And I think it's preying on people, I think, a little bit, because they're trying to make out that to get the sort of the body you want or the health you want is that simple. And we know it's not. There's such a multitude of things that go in. And the thing I guess we're probably going to talk about as much as anything is weight loss is totally different to fat loss and then long-term change. When you talk about those clubs and those things, and even these online trainers that get people on, the easiest thing you can do is get someone to lose between 5 and 7 pounds in a week. It's a fucking piece of piss.
So easy.
You're losing probably water, glycogen depletion, and suddenly they're on the scales. And they're like, oh, this is brilliant. I've done this, and they're thinking that's it. And it's not. You've probably more than me at the moment have people come to you that have been through these things so many times.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, one of the biggest annoyances as a professional coach is, I feel like I'm mopping up from other coaches' bad practices. I get a lot of, especially females coming to me saying, I did this plan. It was amazing. I lost 6-7 pounds every week. And then I got to the point where I couldn't keep going. Well, why is that? Well, I got hungry. I was getting really tired. I was losing my hair. My period started to, slow down. And I'm just like, what the fuck? And they've basically been put on a crash diet without any consideration whatsoever for health. Bearing in mind that these people reached out for help with their health and not just to look good. Yeah, and I think this is a bit of word of warning advice as well for anyone that is starting out on that fat loss journey. You should be considering your health. It isn't just, it shouldn't just be about what you look like. Because if you are looking for that quick fix, it's going to end in tears, in my experience. And the coaches that are doing that are so wrong. And, there is so much to be said for working with a coach who's going to educate you and who's going to do it in a safe way and a healthy way. Just talking about kind of dieting in a safe way. So I feel like these days as well, we've come up against this culture of fat loss products as well, which have been created. You walk into the supermarket now, and honestly, I think 70% of what's on the shelves isn't food. It's not food. I always say if it's not grown in the ground or you can't pick it off a tree, it's been mashed up, it's been processed, that's not food. It's not really meant for the human body. So have you got any thoughts on that? Because that really boils my piss.
I'm exactly the same. You want to, people, if they're living on basically single ingredient foods, and when you say that, that means when you buy a chicken breast, it's a chicken breast. When you buy a potato, it's a potato. There's no ingredient list on them. You're not going to go far wrong. If you think what our great grandparents probably lived on, and even if you go back to the 60s, 70s, when you look at of the beach, you don't see masses of obese people. When you do now, like you said, the food's not food. We've all seen the pictures of a McDonald's which is left out for 2-3 years and it's not changed. Just have a little think about what's that doing in your digestive system. How are we going to get any nutrients from that?
Do you know what? Actually, I had a bag of shouldn't really say this. Had a bag of chocolate buttons the other day. I'm allowed because it's all about balance, and I actually had a chocolate button on the seat in the car, and I flicked it out of the seat, and I was like, oh, do you know what? It'll just degrade. Yeah. It'll just, 3-4 days later, it was still there. Hadn't rained on, it hadn't disintegrated. And I just thought, people who are eating that stuff every day, by the way, guys, I'm not eating chocolate buttons every day. It's like, a very occasional thing, but people are eating that shit every day. And this is why it really gets on my tits when you're hearing coaches saying, oh, just track anything you want, as long as you're sticking to sort of, 1,400 calories a day. You've got people there who are, yes, losing weight on the scales, through tracking calories, but what on earth are they putting in their body? You've got coaches now going out there saying that things like artificial sweeteners and diet drinks are safe. It's blowing my mind.
And it's about as well doing your own research a little bit. Don't just listen to people.
Yes.
And then when you do research, if you happen to research a paper, a scientific paper, look who it was sponsored by. Because if it's sponsored by NutraSweet and they say aspartame is great, you might not want to fucking listen to that.
Shall we touch on that? The topic of artificial sweeteners and I think in particular aspartame. Now, we're not scientists, we don't claim to be, and we haven't undertaken our own research. However, it's like you've just said there, we now have an abundance of information which is available to us, and I just feel like if you are not willing, you're not prepared to go out there and read some of this stuff, then it's pretty ignorant. I read a few studies actually, and I shared something with you not long ago. about some pretty comprehensive studies that they've done involving mice and rats. Now, yes, okay, we've got this whole debate there about, well, you can't necessarily apply what happens with mice and rats to humans. However, they are still living beings, and when you see the insane effect in terms of cases of leukemia, advanced tumor growth in these living beings on the back of being fed artificial sweeteners such as aspartame, that has got to at some point concern you, does it not? Like, would that concern you?
Yeah, I don't think people care enough about what they are doing to themselves. And like we touched on, 30, that's probably 50 years ago now, where you go on the beach and there'd be hardly any obese people. Now there's loads.
Yeah.
That itself should tell us something. Tell us something's not quite right with what we're doing, because it shouldn't happen. Why are we all obese suddenly? It's crazy. It's like, I don't get why you wouldn't ask some questions. But it seems like if they hear one person saying no, it's fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like I've got no interest in getting in arguments about it at all. If someone wants to fill themselves up on Diet Coke all the time and all this other stuff that's full of the crap, go for it. All I'd do is try and say, maybe you want to look at that a little bit. If they don't, I'm too old now to care that much. It's just look after yourself, because and it goes back to the calorie thing as well. Fuck me. If you get told, right, you can have 1,500 calories, say today, and you fill it up with Mars bars, how the fuck do you think that's right? And if you're being told
it'd be a pretty good day, that, wouldn't it? Pretty sweet day.
But you're told that you've got this many calories, it doesn't matter what the macros are.
Yeah.
Say that.
I think that's an interesting point, that this leads us nicely into talking about body composition. And, let's say we've got a listener now who is wanting to get shredded, or they want to body build, they want to get ripped, they want to look, they want to look like the gym bodies that they're seeing on the reels on Instagram. Who doesn't? Yeah. I'm sure at some point we all want to get like that. We've all been there. I've been there, you've been there. Let's talk about the importance of the quality of the foods, and it is losing weight versus losing fat, isn't it?
Yeah.
You step on the scales and you can lose weight.
Yeah.
But to actually build muscle and to lose body fat, you've got to be really dialed in and fine-tuned with that nutrition.
Yeah.
So tell me your thoughts on that, in terms of what are the sort of the obvious mistakes that people are making, which is stopping them from, getting that nice, lean, muscular body because of
it's, I think a lot of it is down to quality of protein, and understanding training as well. When you say you want to add muscle, it doesn't mean you're going to see the muscle. But I think most people would have seen the picture of 5 pounds of muscle compared to 5 pounds of fat. Totally different.
Yeah,
totally different. So when we're training, we want to be adding muscle, and we do that with good quality protein in the diet, creatine and different things like that, which is fine. But it comes down to that. If we're not having good quality protein, we're not going to build the muscle. So again, when we say build the muscle, especially for sort of ladies listening, don't think you're going to suddenly look massive. You're not.
No, I mean, it'd be great if we could just look massive straight away, but it doesn't happen like that.
Exactly. But the more muscle you have, the more you're going to be burning calories normally.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing. It's like when you do get into eating whole good foods, it's going to make everything feel easier. You put it together with drinking clean water. And the reason I say clean water is because drinking water from a tap, I wouldn't ever do. When you look at what's put into it, again, do your research. But for me, I wouldn't want to be drinking water filled with stuff that the Germans put in the prisoner of war camps to keep the prisoners docile.
No, thank you. It's not for me.
It's like, I wouldn't want to brush my teeth with it either. So when we start to give the body what it wants, you almost got to think of your body like a plant. If a plant's in the corner with no sunlight, no water, no food, it's going to wither away and die. If you put it in the sunlight, feed it well, and put the water in it, it's going to flourish. And we've got to think more of our bodies like that. Give it what it needs, what it wants. And so, and also the other part, if you are a bit obsessed by the scales, eating whole foods, eating good protein is going to help you, because the hunger levels are going to go down, your satiety is going to go down. You're not going to be hungry all the time. And people sort of lambast it when you talk about hormones, but fuck me, that's what our body is. As soon as you put anything in your mouth, the hormones are going to react to it in some way. And there's a multitude of hormones. And so to think that it will react exactly the same to a chocolate bar as a chicken breast, insanity.
Yeah, I think there's a big issue as well when it comes to carbs. So something that I try to educate my clients on as well is carbs. Now, there's always been this kind of, you got two camps. You've got your carbs are bad for you. Carbs are not bad for you, but it's still confusing. And I think we can all say, we know that carbs are not bad for us. However, if you are trying to get healthier and you are trying to get a muscular, lean physique, which is what, my clients come to me for, then we do have to fine tune the sorts of carbohydrates that we're eating. I'm a member of various fat loss, weight loss clubs on social media, and I'm fucking horrified at some of the foods that get shared in there, people showing what they've used their points, sins, whatever, to make, and it's literally just a sea of beige.
Oh Jesus!
So there's nothing wrong with carbs, but they're being told, carbs are great, you've got to have carbs in your diet, but all I'm seeing is things like pasta, bread. It's all refined carbs. So when we're talking about refined carbs, and obviously you'll know this, but for anyone that's listening, we're talking about the simple sugars, the processed carbs. So again, it's not natural foods, it's not whole foods. So it's not like you're eating rice or you're eating vegetables. Don't forget, we've got an abundance of starchy vegetables there, which we can be eating as well. We've got potatoes, we've got all our green veggies, they all contain carbs. And I think the message has got lost there. Again, if you're someone that's going to train for body composition, then you don't want to be filling yourself up with bread, with pasta. And if you're looking at it from a health perspective, again, you don't want to be filling yourself up with bread and pasta, because actually the studies have shown that they can be highly inflammatory foods. And if you're absolutely nailing yourself day after day with those, then you're really not doing your insides any good at all. What are your thoughts on, the whole sort of the messages that people are putting out there when it comes to, say like you can still eat pizza and, get in shape, and, what do you feel like that in terms of that being like a positive and healthy message to put out there from coaches?
I think we need to be careful. I think, obviously, listen, we're not saying you've got to live like a monk.
No, I mean, we all like a bit of pizza.
But but we have to be realistic. I remember once I was talking to, years and years ago, a coach, and we were going through sort of the 80-20 rule and mapping out, okay, well, 20% of the time I'm going to be off plan. And it turned out to be about 4 or 5 meals a week. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of crap, basically, we're going to be putting in a body. And if you're training your ass off, why would you want to then not refuel yourself right? That's going to stay results, because we probably enjoy training. Sometimes it's a ball ache. It's so fucking horrible sometimes. And I think as well, we need to tell people weight loss isn't that enjoyable. It's not a fucking Alton Towers day.
I tell you what, that is a big message that we want to get out. It's almost like it's clickbait, isn't it? It's clickbait. Yeah. It's just to make people a lot more money. This whole message around, oh yeah, it's easy, anyone can do it. It's not fucking easy.
No, it's not. It's really easy. It's like, what you want is the destination when you're fitting into clothes you want. If you've got a wedding or a big event, or you go into the beach and you take your top off and you feel good, that's what you do it for. And the health sort of effects as well. When you're waking up, you're feeling better, you've got more energy. The day-to-day of actually eating well and training isn't easy. the easiest thing to do is sit on the fucking sofa, watch Netflix, and eat crisps. Easy. The
Yeah.
hard thing is to have some form of stoicism in you and say, right, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go the other way. And what you need to be careful, really be careful of, is when some fucker on Instagram who's probably been in shape all their life is stuffing themselves with ice cream and pizza, saying, "No, you can do this as well and lose weight."
Yeah.
Mate, no, you could eat exactly the same as them, and you won't change.
No,
Okay.
and I think, I'm actually going to call coaches out who do that. I'm not going to specifically name people because I'm just not that type of person. But those types of coaches are really fucking get up my nose, because what you have to realize, people that are listening, is that when you're seeing, these guys who are massive and they're shredded and they're banging in, triple stack burgers every day, these guys, I'm not going to take away the hard work, because they train hard, they're getting up and they're doing the cardio. Like, fuck me, I see some of them getting up and doing like an hour on the Stairmaster and they're not even competing. You've got to understand that the majority of these people are also, injecting growth hormone, they're injecting testosterone and God knows what other performance enhancers. And it's wrong. It's wrong that they're putting that message out there that, you can look like me and you can eat all this food, and people buy into it. That is not how it works. No. If you, as a sort of day-to-day gym goer, try to get in that sort of shape by following the diet that they eat, doing the training that they do, getting up and doing the cardio, you're still not going to look like that. You're still not going to look like that, because there's a whole lot of other stuff that's going on in the background. So you need to understand that if you are someone who, wants to do an extreme body transformation, you are going to have to put a lot of work in, but your diet, unless you are someone that's prepared and willing to, go down the performance enhancing drugs route, your diet's going to have to be crystal.
Yeah. I think when people realize that and realize you have to make a change, and it's not easy, it's not every day you can have a little so-called treat, then at least you go in something with your eyes open. Don't go into your eyes closed thinking, oh, brilliant, we can use these sins and all these different things. You just go in circles, and then you're jumping from one thing to another thing. Make a decision that you want to get healthy for yourself. Understand that it's going to be 2, 3, 4 months of tough work to get there. Once you get there, the maintenance, then that's an easier part. But to get where you want to get to, it's going to take work. It's going to take consistency, and sometimes it's not going to be much fun.
No, so this is what I always say to clients when they come in. I now won't work with people for any less than 24 weeks. In my opinion, you want to be setting aside a full 12 months, for a decent body transformation, because again, it's about instilling habits. Because this isn't a fad, it's not a phase. If you are someone who's wanting to get in shape for life and you also wanting to prove your long-term health, then it's something that's going to take time. And I think these days there are quite a lot of people out there who are quite quick to throw the towel in. Yeah. And I really do want to get that message out there that you're not going to have a perfect week every week. There are going to be times where on your, your fat loss journey, your transformation journey, that you're going to be like, oh, fucking hell, this is a bit of a slog, like I don't think I'm feeling it. It's all part and parcel of it. Like, I think social media has kind of created this illusion that you can get this and you can get it now. And it doesn't help when we've got these coaches out there saying like, yeah, you come join with me and, you'll lose, like 10 pounds in a week. And it's just...
And eat burgers and pizza.
And eat burgers and pizza. Yeah, you don't have to put the work in. It's like, no, you do. You do need to put the work in. And I just feel like there's this culture that is breeding where it's like it's just a lose fat and do it quickly, isn't it? And it doesn't work like that. And I think the other thing as well to remember is if you do it quickly, you're more likely to rebound and then have to start the whole process all over again. So why not just get your head in the game that this is going to be a long-term journey and do it safely, do it properly.
And to sort of finish a little bit there, what I would say is when you are looking to work with someone, see if they've been through that themselves as well. It's I know you've put posts out of like before and afters. You know, when you know someone's been walked a mile in the shoes you want to walk in, then you can trust them. You know they've been there. If someone's never done it and they're just, you know, be lucky, their genetics or whatever, it can be hard for them to understand. So make sure you choose wisely with your coach.
Yeah, absolutely resonate with that. Yeah, always do your research. And I think don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, a professional coach will not be offended and will not get shitty with you for asking questions about your experience, your qualifications. For me, I mean, I'm qualified, but I think experience wins, because you can be as qualified as you like. You know, anyone can go on a 6-week PT course, for fuck's sake. Doesn't make you an expert, you know. And that's just the way it is, you know. So if I was someone that was looking for a coach, I'd definitely go with someone who's got, you know, plenty of years under their belt, but also someone who has walked the walk that you want to do, and someone who can genuinely empathize with you and not say, oh yeah, I understand that, or I understand what that feels like. You know, there's a lot of that as well that goes on these days. And it's like, oh yeah, I understand what it feels like to be going through a period. And it's like, how can you? You're male.
Let's not talk about
say that. I mean, I don't know. I think sometimes it's just the way that they say it. I'm like,
and they talk about the menopause as well, like a 30-year-old bloke talking about the menopause. What the fuck are you talking about, mate? Leave it alone. You know, you don't leave it.
Yeah, 21-year-old men going, yeah, I understand you're going through the menopause. I know how it feels. Like, what? No, not at all. So, is there anything else that you would like to get out there to people today, Ross, in terms of stuff that they should be aware of?
I'd just say, just to reinforce the point, do your own research when it comes to food, drink, coaches. If someone just says 10,000 steps in calorie deficit, run a mile. Understand the difference between easy weight loss and long-term fat loss. It's two different things. It really is. And just choose wisely. Yeah, brilliant. I think my sort of final message that I would like to get out there, if you are someone who's listening, watching, and you are thinking about reaching out to a coach, again, just get in your head that you're going to need to set time aside to do this. And I would always say, choose a coach who is genuinely concerned about health and not just about getting ab pictures to put on their profile. Yeah, 100%. Because for most people, getting to that stage where you can see visible abs and get shredded, it's a long way down the road. Yeah. Long way down the road. So yeah, make sure that you choose wisely, and don't just think about what you're going to look like on the outside. At the end of the day, you've got one body. We should be thinking about how to extend our life. You know, when you think about how many of us are trying to get fitter, how many of us are trying to get healthy, but yet we're seeing cases of cancer rise, we're seeing cases of cardiovascular disease rise, you know, we've got, more strokes than ever. It doesn't take much to kind of correlate, the food with the disease and all the other stuff that we're putting in our bodies. So guys, please take care of yourselves. It's not just about the waist size. It's not just about your abs. It's also about your precious insides. And I am a massive advocate for that. 100%. Yes. So guys, I think we're going to call it a day for this episode. I have absolutely no doubt that me and Juicy are going to get back in the podcast studio, or makeshift studio, because we've got a lot to say on a lot of topics, but hopefully you all took a lot of value from today. I did. It's kind of, sparked my fire to go off and do a little bit more research as well. So Ross, thank you so much for coming on today. And I'm looking forward to next time we chat. Great stuff.